Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the world you live in was not designed for your freedom, but for your obedience. Not through chains, not through force, but through systems so subtle, so normalized, that most people willingly participate in their own confinement. They work for it, they pay for it, they defend it. And the most disturbing part is this: most never realize it. Throughout history, great thinkers warned us that the most powerful prisons are invisible. Plato described a cave where people mistake shadows for reality. Aldous Huxley warned that the perfect form of control would make people love their servitude. Michel Foucault showed that modern power no longer needs violence. It needs normalization. And yet, despite these warnings, humanity continues to repeat the same pattern. So let's ask the question most people avoid. If so many people feel trapped, exhausted, unfulfilled, and powerless, where's the prison? There are no bars, no guards, no walls. And that is precisely why it works. The chains are psychological, cultural, economic, social. They shape how you think, how you define success, what you desire, what you fear, what you believe is possible. And from the moment you are born, you are slowly trained to accept them. The first mechanism of silent enslavement is the illusion of choice. Modern society constantly tells you that you are free. Free to choose your career, free to choose your lifestyle, free to choose your identity. But most of these choices exist only within a narrow, pre-designed framework. From childhood, people are placed on a standardized path. Sit still, follow instructions, memorize, repeat, compete. Obey schedules, seek approval. The education system was not built to create free thinkers. It was built to produce functional participants in an economic machine. People are taught what to think, not how to think, how to follow rules, not how to question them, how to perform, not how to understand themselves. And after years of conditioning, people emerge believing that the only way to live is the way they were shown. Work, consume, pay, repeat. Michel Foucault warned that modern power works best when people begin to police themselves. They compare themselves constantly. They feel shame for not keeping up. They fear exclusion more than injustice, and for the privilege of participating in this structure, they pay. They pay with time, with energy, with creativity, with health. They pay financially through taxes, debt, consumption, and endless obligations. How much of your life belongs to you? And how much exists to sustain a system that barely sustains you? The second mechanism is consumer identity. Instead of discovering who they are, most people are given an identity by the market. You are what you wear, what you own, what you drive, what you display. Advertising does not exist to meet needs. It exists to create dissatisfaction, a permanent sense of lack. Psychologist Erich Fromm warned that modern humans abandoned being for having. They try to fill inner emptiness with external objects. And this makes control easy, because a person defined by status can be manipulated through fear of losing it. A person defined by image can be controlled through comparison. A person defined by approval can be steered through shame. People spend their lives competing in races they never chose, chasing symbols they were taught to desire, trying to prove their worth in systems that never truly reward them. Ask yourself honestly, how many decisions in your life were truly yours? And how many were shaped by expectation, pressure, fear, or conditioning? The next layer of enslavement is economic. People are told they are free, Yet most spend the majority of their waking lives working simply to survive. They work to pay rent or mortgages, to pay bills, to pay interest, to pay taxes, to pay for products designed to keep the cycle running. Debt becomes a lifelong sentence. Student loans, credit cards, mortgages, financing. The future is sold before it arrives. Society teaches that debt is normal, responsible, necessary. But debt quietly converts time into obligation. People do not work to build their lives. They work to catch up. And because survival consumes all attention, there is little time left to think. Aristotle believed freedom required schola, time for reflection and inner cultivation. But modern life eliminates stillness. Even rest is filled with distraction. Screens, noise, consumption. A tired population does not rebel. A distracted population does not question. An exhausted population does not awaken. And this is not accidental. The flood of entertainment and information exists not to enlighten, but to occupy. Bread and circus never disappeared. They became digital. Hours disappear into scrolling. Arguments replace understanding. Outrage replaces reflection. Carl Jung warned that modern humans suffer not from lack of information, but from lack of meaning. But meaning requires silence, and silence threatens the system. Then comes the deepest layer of control: belief and identity. Before adulthood, most people inherit a worldview they never chose. Beliefs about success, about worth, about money, about relationships, about what is acceptable, about what is possible. These beliefs feel natural, and that is why they are powerful. Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote that humans are born free, but everywhere are in chains. Those chains are not only external, they are internal. By adulthood, most people no longer need external control. They enforce it themselves. They doubt their inner voice. They fear judgment. They fear rejection. They fear stepping outside the script. And so they remain within invisible boundaries they can no longer see. Maslow observed that people often fear their own potential more than their limitations, because awakening carries responsibility. To awaken is to realize how much of life was lived unconsciously, how many beliefs were inherited, how many desires were implanted. It is uncomfortable, and so most avoid it. Tribal identity reinforces this control. People attach themselves to labels: political, cultural, ideological, social. Belonging replaces thinking. Agreement replaces truth. George Orwell warned that the loss of independent thought is the greatest threat to freedom. When people feel instead of think, react instead of reflect, follow instead of question, the chains move inside the mind. And people pay for this too. With peace, with authenticity, with unrealized potential. They buy to complete identities. They consume to feel valuable. They perform to feel accepted. Now comes the final and most powerful truth. The deepest form of enslavement is not imposed. It is accepted. Most people are not controlled by systems alone. They are controlled by unconscious minds. Carl Jung said that until the unconscious is made conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. A predictable mind is easy to control. A conditioned mind needs no chains. People defend systems that limit them because they cannot imagine life beyond them. There is a prison outside, but the lock is on the inside. And yet, this is where hope lives. Because the moment a person questions, the walls crack. The moment someone observes their conditioning, power shifts. Self-knowledge becomes liberation. Socrates said the greatest journey is to know oneself, because once you understand how you were shaped, you can reshape yourself. Awareness dissolves illusion. Observation breaks conditioning. Clarity restores freedom. A person who knows who they are cannot be manipulated by fear. A person who understands their value does not need approval. A person who sees through narratives cannot be divided by them. Freedom is not given, it is realized. And the journey does not begin in society. It begins within.